there everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. We are continuing the quarantine life theme of comfort food tonight. I have a great recipe and I think you're really going to love it. From our Paleo family and the Autoimmune-Free Cooking Club. I'm so glad you're here. I don't know if you found me through a search for Instant Pot recipes or paleo recipes or gluten-free recipes or good old-fashioned home cooking instruction type recipes, but we do all of that here, and I'm so glad that you're here with me tonight or today, this afternoon, this morning, whatever time it is for you. We're making sausage, gravy, and biscuits. Sausage, gravy, and biscuits. I used to think this was a Midwestern thing because I'm from Ohio. And then I moved to the South, North Carolina, and they talk about it like it's a Southern thing. So I think that comfort food is universal. Sausage, gravy, and biscuits would be the ultimate of comfort food. Now, nobody tell my son, but we're having this because he's been begging for it for ages. And we haven't had sausage, gravy, and biscuits for probably 2 or 3 years, and he keeps asking for it. And I put it on the calendar without paying attention to his work schedule, and he's actually working tonight. So he'll maybe eat this when he gets home, or potentially he'll just have leftovers. But I feel so bad. Don't tell him. But anyway, you're going to get to experience it through watching me make it, and hopefully you'll make it for those people that you love. So sausage, gravy, and biscuits, you know what's so special about this? Well, we are paleo over here, which means we try not to eat grains. We don't eat a lot of dairy. We eat some dairy. When we do, it's really good quality, like this nice yellow. It's too soft for me to pick it up. Grass-fed Kerrygold butter. And so to make sausage, gravy, and biscuits without grains, gluten, dairy, soy, sugars, you know, all this processed stuff that's inflammatory, that is where the challenge comes in. And I know with, you know, this virus thing and people being stuck at home, and everybody, I think, is cooking more than they normally cook, we're wanting to eat comfort foods, and that is definitely understandable. And so this to me is like the ultimate in comfort food. We already made chicken pot pie. That's definitely comfort food. But for me, a biscuit, that's where it's at right there. We are healthifying this meal by having broccoli on the side. So I just have a huge bunch of broccoli that I have simply steamed. And now that it's steamed, it's a little bit softer. Once everything is almost ready, I'm just going to add a little bit of avocado oil to the pan, salt and pepper, and just crisp that up a little bit because we like it with a little bit of crispy edges. So we'll have broccoli with our sausage, gravy, and biscuits. So, you know, this is one of those recipes that it's hard to have a real specific recipe because gravy is you have some kind of fat. In our case, it's going to be the grease, you know, the oil that cooks out of the sausage. Then you add some kind of thickener to it, some kind of flour. In our case, today we're going to use cassava flour. So again, you know, grain-free. So cassava, did I tell them here what it is? This particular one, yeah, it's a product of Nigeria. It's a root. And cassava, it has a little bit of a, kind of a nutty flavor. It's just kind of a unique flavor. I use it in my tortilla recipe that works for the autoimmune paleo diet, and it has a really nice flavor in certain things. I don't bake a lot with cassava flour because it does have that unique flavor, but it is a flour that's appropriate for an autoimmune paleo type diet. So we're just going to thicken with a little bit of cassava flour. You could use arrowroot starch, you could use tapioca starch. It's just a couple tablespoons of it. It doesn't really matter. If you're not paleo and you just want to learn how to make sausage gravy, then you use whatever type of flour you would typically use. It could be all-purpose flour. You could use a gluten-free all-purpose flour. You might use cornstarch, but if you're not gluten-free, grain-free, I would say just use a regular, like, all-purpose flour. But we're all paleo around here, so we don't talk about regular flour very often. So you thicken your oil, grease, and then you add liquids. And so to keep this paleo, dairy-free, our liquids tonight are going to be chicken stock and almond milk. There are all kinds of nut milks now. There's oat milk, which of course oats are a grain, so that wouldn't be paleo. But I mean, there's macadamia nut milk, there's cashew milk, there's pecan milk, there's all kinds of different milks. But almond milk has been around for a long time, and you can find a good one that doesn't have carrageenan. That's really going to disrupt your what's going on in your gut. So we want to avoid carrageenan, xanthan gum, all those types of things. So just find a good natural almond milk. My favorite lately is from Thrive Market. I can link that for you. Thrive is like Costco, Amazon, and Whole Foods all mixed together. It's an online store only. You order online. It is a membership. It's just under $60 for the year. And joining gives you the right to order from them. With $49 orders, you get free shipping. And they have like all the healthy stuff that you would buy at Whole Foods. That's the kind of stuff they sell there. For a huge discount. I saved tons of money even with that $60 membership fee. And Thrive actually gives a membership to a family in need or an individual in need for every membership someone buys. So they give back. I love Thrive Market. I love everything about them. Their shipping is great. Their packaging is great. They're a wonderful, wonderful company. So I tend to buy lots of my flours and that kind of thing from them. So what I'm doing here is browning my sausage. I'm just going to brown it. Some people will brown the sausage and then take it out of the pan, make the gravy, then add the sausage back in. You don't have to do that. You can do it if you want, but it's not necessary. My sausage tonight is a local sausage. It is, it's not organic and pasture raised, but it's a small local farm, and we love the taste of it. If you don't like the taste of your sausage, you're not going to like the taste of your gravy. I need to put this pan in the oven. This is 4 tablespoons of butter, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. And this particular one is their hot version, which I'm not a hot and spicy person, but this one has just a teeny bit more pepper. So I have salt and pepper here, but I'm going to hold off adding any salt and pepper until my gravy is done because, or you know, the milk is added, the broth is added. I want to taste it. I don't want it to end up too salty, and I don't want it to be so spicy that I can't eat it. And you can't have sausage gravy and biscuits without biscuits. So here's the biscuit recipe. Okay, I should say all these recipes are available on my website, which is autoimmunefreecookingclub.com. We'll put that down below. There will be a little caption there. Some recipes are for free, and some recipes you have to join. Pay to join my membership. It's like the best cookbook that never ends. I publish a brand new recipe every single week. Every week. That's 52 new recipes a year. Some cookbooks that you buy are less recipes than that. And mine have lots of pictures, lots of processed pictures, and they're all gluten-free. Most are paleo. I always give substitution ideas. Usually where I diverge from paleo is by adding a little bit of dairy, and it's almost always completely optional. So most of my recipes are paleo. If you want to know why, you can read my health journey there, or you can ask me a question. But basically, we all are managing our health with our diet, so that's why we eat this way. I have Crohn's disease. My husband has type 1 diabetes, and we're trying to keep our children healthy and well. They've had a couple of their own health issues, and like a lot of people with Crohn's disease are miserable, and I'm not. I don't have any symptoms. I feel great. And that is really unusual, and I manage it with diet and lifestyle. So anyway, the recipes are on the website. Some are for free, some are not, but I will link them all below. So if you click on it and it tells you to join, you have to join. Join anyway, and you may be able to get some of them for free. I change up which ones are free throughout the year. So the sausage gravy recipe is there, and the biscuit recipe is there as well. And so I have just created my own version of Bisquick. So you know that like all-purpose baking mix, and it used to be a yellow box on the shelf in the baking section of the grocery store that you would use to make pancakes and waffles and biscuits, and remember Impossible cheeseburger pie? Well, I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a paleo version of that? So I have created a paleo version of that biscuit mix, and that's what I have here. And the first recipe that I'm going to publish using my biscuit mix is, of course, biscuits. So in my bowl, that bowl's already a little bit dirty because I had to make up a new batch of my biscuit mix, which is great because that just means we've got pancakes in our future soon. I'm going to make sure I don't pour that in there. It's a real quick, easy biscuit recipe. So I have my baking mix, and I have added, it has baking powder in it, but I've added a little extra baking powder. Some psyllium husk. Let me show that to you. So this came from Thrive Market. This is Yerba Prima Organic Psyllium Whole Husks. It's a powder. It's sort of a brown color. It's a fiber supplement. Some people just take it as a fiber supplement. But what it does in gluten-free baking is it acts like the gluten. It's sort of like a, adds some strength to your gluten-free food. So you want a biscuit to be light and flaky, but you also don't want it to just completely crumble into nothing. And that's what the psyllium husk does for us. That was some coconut cream. So when you open a can of full-fat coconut milk, the cream is at the top. If you're in a really warm climate, you may need to refrigerate your coconut milk for the cream to come to the top. So I'm just sort of cutting it in with my spatula. My oven's on 375. A great way to do this is with forks, 2 forks, or if you have like a pastry cutter, or you can just get your hands in there. Normally that's what I would do, but because I've got a couple things going here, I don't want to have to constantly stop and clean my hands. So if you're new here, I'm really glad you're here. I would love it if you would introduce yourself in the comments, just your name, maybe where you live, why you're here, why you're looking for this kind of recipe. And especially right now, how are you doing with the whole coronavirus? Are you healthy? Is your family healthy? I don't know anybody who has been diagnosed with this virus, and we have a lot of it here in North Carolina, a lot. I don't know anybody that has it. I don't know anybody that knows anybody that has it. So, how about you? Do you know somebody who has been affected by this virus? Okay, so this is sparkling water. It's just seltzer water. It's just carbonated water. And I'm adding 1/3 of a cup. And you know what? Both of my measuring cups are full. This isn't as good. Liquid measure and dry measure are not the same, but they're close. So I want about 1/3 of a cup of that sparkling water. So this recipe came from, or was inspired by 7-Up biscuits. If you've ever seen this recipe for 7-Up biscuits, which those you have to roll out. These you don't have to roll out. It makes it easier. But you do want to have a light hand when you're working with biscuit dough, whether it's gluten-free or not. You want to just keep like some space in there. You don't want a dense biscuit, right? Nobody likes the dense biscuit. All right, I'll tell you about that in a second. I'm going to put a lid on this before I knock it over and pour it all over my floor. Okay. So my sausage is all done. It's no longer pink. I'm going to add my cassava. So you're just going to sprinkle this over, and you want it to look kind of dry in your skillet. You want to put in enough flour to really absorb the oil that's there. So it might take a little bit more than the recipe says. It might take a little bit less. We'll cook that for just a second. What I'm going to do, I melted all my butter in the oven just to be easy on myself. And then I want to save a little bit of it to put on top of my biscuits. So some butter is in the bottom. My biscuits are going to sit right on top of that. And then I'll drizzle the rest on top. You know, I think I need just I almost said just a tish. My best friend when I was in early elementary school, she said tish, just a tish. And we had just moved here from Ohio, and she was from here, from the South, and we had never heard that term. And I remember my mom thinking it was the funniest thing. Oops, back in there. All right, so we browned our flour just a little bit, just kind of like cooks the floury taste out. And now I'm going to add some broth. I really should be doing this on my stove with my vent hood, but if I did it on my stove, you wouldn't be able to see as well, so we'll be okay. So now we're just going to slowly add in our liquid. I'm not going to pour all that in at one time because it might not need it all. And we're going to just cook it and stir it until we have gravy. A nice, rich, creamy gravy consistency. So I've added about 2/3 of my broth. And I just scraped up the bottom of the pan, so all that browned, yummy goodness that was on the bottom is now in my gravy, and that's delicious flavor. So I'm going to let that go for a minute and hopefully get my biscuits scooped out here. Sorry for the sunlight, y'all. I have put little curtains up to block my skylights, but there's only so much I can do. So I love these scoops. Sometimes they're called dishers. This one is kind of a traditional ice cream scoop size. It's about 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup is the size. And this should make me about, I don't know, 10 biscuits. It doesn't always come out exactly the same. You can use a really large pan and have a lot of space between them, or you can use a smaller pan and keep them closer together. Some biscuit recipes, you'll see they'll call for the biscuits to be, like they need to be touching to make them rise. I'm going to turn this down now. That's not the case with this recipe. You'll see they're going to kind of flatten out a little bit as they bake, and so they'll really end up just taking up the space that they have. Okay, so I got out the wrong pan. So you can use a 9x9, or this is a 9x7. And I got out the wrong one. I got out my 9x13. So I'm just going to use my spatula so I keep some butter on the bottom. And I'm going to transfer them to this pan. That butter is an important part of the recipe, so you don't want to lose it. So look, I've been cooking for a long time. I create a lot of recipes, but I am not perfect. And I show you my mistakes so that you'll see that you don't have to be perfect either. Just keep going. It's just food. Okay, this will need to bake for 18 to 20 minutes, and I'll show you what they look like when they're done. So the nice thing about something like this, sausage gravy, number one, it's really hearty, so it's filling. But number two, is super forgiving. You know, if say you added a little more liquid than you really need, and it's too thin, just cook it. It'll cook up. If you are in a hurry and you feel like, oh, I really need it to thicken, it's not thickening, take one of your liquids, add a little bit of your flour to it, and blend it in and pour it in and bring it to a boil, and it'll thicken right back up. It's super, super flexible and easy. It could be ready to eat right now, or I just put my biscuits in and then in 20 minutes, it can be ready in 20 minutes. It's kind of hard to mess it up. You know, people, I don't know, like especially around Thanksgiving, there's a lot of talk about, oh, the gravy. It's not a hard thing to make, you know. Just calm down enjoy the process and cook it a little bit and taste it and adjust your seasoning or adjust your liquid or cook it a little bit longer. It's super flexible. So remember, we didn't put any salt and pepper in. No pepper because the sausage was hot sausage. And no salt because sausage is salty. And my broth is unsalted. This is actually this is the Pacific brand chicken bone broth from the carton. And it is, as I said, unsalted, and that's perfectly salty. I wouldn't want to add any additional salt to that. So I'm just going to let this cook and simmer away on probably, on my stovetop it would be on low. On this little tabletop burner, it's not as powerful. It'll probably be on about medium. I want it to just, this is cooking a little bit hard right now. I want it to just continue to simmer and cook down, and we'll let that go the whole time while the biscuits are baking. And I'll show you the whole finished thing in just a few minutes. Okay, my biscuits are about ready to come out. My gravy is perfect. I ended up adding all of that liquid, which was about a cup of the almond milk and a cup and a half of chicken broth. I didn't add any salt or pepper at all. It was just all seasoned from the sausage. So just to prove that we do eat vegetables when we eat gravy. That's my really well cooked broccoli. I steamed it and then I put it in the oven for a while to get a little crispy. I am just in this phase where I'm needing to have my vegetables really well done. So it's a little well done, I know, for some of you. Okay, here are my biscuits. I'm so hungry and I am so looking forward to this meal. So to make this easier and a little bit nicer for you for viewing, I went ahead and I poured some broth in my measuring cup. I poured some almond milk in my measuring cup. But the recipe called for 1.5 to 2 cups of broth and 1/2 to 1 cup of milk. And I would really just open my carton of milk and open my carton of broth and just start pouring it in. Just a little bit. I'd pour in a little bit of broth and then I'd pour in a little bit of milk. And then I'd pour in a little bit of broth and pour in a little bit of milk. And as it cooked, I would just continue adding in a little bit at a time until I got the exact texture and consistency that I wanted. And this is what I want. You might want yours a little thicker. You might want it a little thinner. But it's such an easy thing to make. It's not real specific or persnickety. You just brown your meat, add your flour, and start adding stuff in. So this is, I really need a flat. I need a flat spatula. You know what? I'm just going to switch here. We're going to put gravy on it anyway, right? I just want to show you how yummy these biscuits are. They bake up real nice and they're fluffy. They have a great texture on the inside. They're a little bit crumbly. Even with that psyllium, that makes them a little bit harder to, like, you couldn't make a biscuit sandwich out of these, and you wouldn't want to do jelly. Well, I mean, you could do jelly, but you're going to probably eat it with a fork. But they have such a great flavor, such a great texture, and they're really easy to make if you have made the all-purpose baking mix. So you just ladle on your gravy. Clean your plate by licking off the little bits that are on there, right? A nice big serving of broccoli. I really wanted to have a fruit salad, but my children ate all of the fruit, so we're having broccoli instead. And there is our dinner. This is going to be my husband's because I put 2 biscuits, but I'm just going to taste it. See how the gravy is with the biscuit. Ooh, it's hot. It's so good. It's so flavorful and comforting. It was a warm day today, so this will be great on a really cool day. Or just any day you feel like having something hearty, down-home, country cooking. This is it. You really can't get more down-home country cooking than sausage gravy and biscuits. And we made all of this grain-free. The biscuits could have been absolutely paleo as well, dairy-free if we use ghee instead of the butter. were good with butter, so I used the butter. But ghee would have worked really well. I wouldn't use coconut oil or anything else. I would use ghee or butter. And we have this yummy, delicious, hearty meal. So I hope you enjoy this recipe, everybody. If you have not already, please consider subscribing, hitting that little bell icon, then you'll be notified when I put up a new video. You'll be notified if I go live. Hit the little thumbs up. That just helps me out. Share these videos with your friends and family and help grow the channel. When you support the channel, I can make more videos and make it more interesting and entertaining for you. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you back here next time.